In Minecraft, we have two default skins for our player, Steve and Alex. Today we will talk about Steve, but the truth is that most of the video applies to both. Both skins are supposed to be generic representations of a human being. Although you can change your player's skin if you wish, for the most part that's it, absolutely everything we assume about our character because we're never given any kind of backstory or context for what's going on. His name is Steve and he makes weird noises and that's it. Because of this, his past and his true nature is a pretty mysterious mystery. And I've been asked to try to solve it many more times than is healthy. But I think I finally have a worthwhile theory. So, today we will talk about the deepest mysteries of the world of humanity's favorite cubes. As always, what we should do when we start is to gather all the information we have. So really, what do we know about Steve? Well, for starters, he's 6 feet tall and he's seriously ripped. In the game, we have a life bar that can regenerate when your hunger bar is full, that is, when you are fed. This bar empties faster if you do activities that require high amounts of energy, such as running, jumping, attacking mobs, or mining. In other words, Steve has slow regeneration powers. Provided he has had a good lunch, of course, and he gets tired too. He can break a great deal of blocks with his bare hands, including tree trunks. He has great knowledge of survival and what he can do with the materials his world provides, and is quite resistant to arrow shots, explosions, and falls. Or at least he is more resistant to those things than the average human. He knows how to make portals to other dimensions and use their resources, plus he can carry ridiculous amounts of materials somewhere we can never see. Despite all this, Steve can die and get hurt, although he always bounces back, but we'll talk about that a little later. So, Steve is basically a walking Old Spice commercial, which makes life a bit complicated. But that doesn't mean that the internet hasn't come up with wonderful theories to fit this abomination of nature into some kind of logic. And we're going to start by reading the most imaginative theory I could find. This theory starts off in the best way, saying that Steve was a guy who just happened to be kidnapped by aliens. According to this marvel of human ingenuity, the aliens experimented on Steve, making him super strong and super resilient, and when they cloned him to create an army of Steves, there was a nuclear war on planet Earth. This war would end up killing all humans, and the space station would crash into Earth with all the Steves inside. Some would become skeletons and zombies over time and wipe out the large civilization of villagers, leaving them scattered in small villages. After millions of years is that Steve rises, the video game begins. You must be wondering why the f I'm telling you this strange cross between fan fiction and a fever dream induced by eating 3 kilos of beans dipped in yogurt. And the reason is simple, so you can gauge the extent of the 99% of theories that exist on the internet. And why can this specific mystery be so elusive? The truth is that there are a myriad of ways we can supposedly explain to you where Steve came from, but none of them really go beyond bad fanfiction. So usually those crazy theories don't care to fit well with the universe we're talking about, since the truth is usually born out of fun. But it's my job to take the most ridiculous things in our popular culture seriously, so today we'll make an effort to give a good answer to this thing. The first theory I managed to find that brings some logic to the matter is a very interesting one, that Steve is cursed. This would explain a lot of the video game. That's why Steve is marooned at the beginning of the game in a desolate environment far from civilization. And this would also explain why he is attacked every night by zombies, giant bugs, and whatever creepers are. But there are no more humans like Steve, or at least not alive. So it seems unlikely, keeping in mind of course that we need an existing civilization for Steve to be cursed and exiled from said civilization. This brings us to the most popular theory regarding this square character, that Steve is a god. This would explain a lot of things. How he can heal from any kind of injuries he receives, how he can travel between dimensions and basically create new realities, manipulate reality, create life, kill a cow with his fists and respawn every time he dies, being functionally immortal. There are people who take this theory much further, citing that you always respawn on the surface as proof that you weren't in a bunker or anything, but descended from the heavens like Jesus, and that like Jesus, you have the wonderful power of resurrection, but without the 3-day wait. Plus, he's ridiculously strong and his eyes are violet, which is rather peculiar. And while we could just leave the video at that and say screw it, Steve is the Mayan god of corn and churro grease, the truth is that I find the theory very unsatisfying. I don't know, it doesn't fit so well. In a world made of cubes, where there are floating islands, giant mushrooms, portals to other dimensions, scary zombies and three-headed beasts that can be summoned by combining cubes, a god should surely be a bit more powerful, right? I mean, we fight the Ender Dragon and the Wither, and we're not on their level until we get a bunch of extra equipment, and there's a lot more stuff. As I've said in past videos, it's obvious that skeletons and zombies come from human bodies. Humans, as Steve is. In fact, the first MOBA added to Minecraft when it was still in Java edition were humans, and they looked just like Steve. In all the official descriptions where they talk about Steve, he is a human. But it's very obvious that if he's a human, he's not a normal one. There is yet another theory which I like a lot, and it all fits with the fact that Steve is human or something like that. As we've already seen, all those crazy abilities Steve sends himself would seem to indicate that he's a god, a Dragon Ball style android or something. But he still needs food and can get indigestion just like any normal human being. Several of his physical abilities are also within the range of an average human being. He's 6 feet tall, which is pretty average. He can jump a distance of 4 meters if he comes with momentum, and when running he has a speed of 5.2 meters per second. Pretty average, but he can also survive any fall if he has a little water under him on impact, and there's the little detail that he can carry 2,304 cubic meters of material on him without affecting his performance in the slightest. In addition, he is a master painter, a skilled blacksmith, can weave and sew leather armor, turn rough diamonds into armor and weapons without the use of gigantic industrial complexes, and can even become a master engineer. Oh, and he eats a whole chicken in like 7 bites and doesn't even get full on that. So basically Steve is a normal human with a great deal of knowledge and some out of the ordinary abilities. Kind of like a Captain America style, but without the pecs, and a hell of a lot smarter and more educated, judging by everything he knows how to do. So, well, we've defined what he is, but we still don't know where the hell he came from. And here, my dear viewers, is where we come to the theory that seems to me to fit perfectly with everything we know about this video game and its history, being in addition incredibly imaginative. You've probably noticed that whenever we play Minecraft and find structures, they are deserted. They only have traces of a civilization from a very long time ago, and they are full of hostile mobs, whether they are spiders and creepers or skeletons and zombies. It is obvious that all the humans that were there are dead. Judging by the ruins, they all died a long time ago. Everything in this world is old, abandoned and dead. Steve is the only one left, but he appears out of nowhere. There's no evidence that he's the last survivor or anything. He just showed up with a bunch of knowledge that should have been lost in time. And there's the key to all this: they're lost in time. Because Steve comes from the past. Steve was before the fall of mankind, and all the knowledge he brings is because of this. In fact, that's why his mission is to kill the Ender Dragon. That's why the achievement in killing the dragon is titled The End, because the dragon wiped out all the other humans. In fact, that's all I talk about in the video of the history of humanity in Minecraft, so if you want to see it, it should be somewhere in the description. This is why he has those weird abilities. It's not clear if he's a superhuman, or rather all humans had those abilities, but coming from another time, it wouldn't be so strange all this. We can add to everything the use of inventory. It is the only piece of technology he brings, as well as an extra dimensional space in which he can put all the elements he needs. This is why his inventory doesn't weigh him down, and this is why we never see him carrying 2,000 cubic meters of dirt on his back. Oh, and respawning is a game mechanic and nothing more. If we talk about canonical in quotation marks, if that word can be applied to this beautiful cube game, we would have to spend our lives playing on hardcore. So I hope you liked this video, like it if you did, and subscribe for more videos like this, and see you in the next video. Bye!